All right, good morning and welcome everybody to the Never Stop Healing podcast. This is your host of the morning, Reagan Archibald, and I am joined with the OG himself, the master of functional medicine, peptides, and multi-book author, Reagan Archibald. Reagan, how are you doing today?
Good. Yeah, really good. It's a gorgeous day. Went sprinting this morning with, you missed it, Cade. I was outside getting chased by my dogs as I was doing sprints around the yard, and they get all freaked out and start nipping at me. But yeah, it was fun. I feel good. Yeah, sprinting, nothing like it.
It's definitely one of those movements that gets the blood pumping.
Well, sprinting actually is, they've done research and looked at the exercises that cause the most muscular contraction, like full body, and sprinting is it. Like if you think of humans, how we're designed to run, and it's all the muscles are required. You know, you're flexing your arms, your chest, your back, you're holding your neck upright. So it's actually one of the best exercises you can do to get a full body workout in.
Love it. Yes. So if all else fails, just go sprint.
Yeah.
Love that. Well, we had a really cool hack last night. So our Health Accelerator community, if you're not a part of that, go to acueastwest.com/hack. That's HAC. Went over some really amazing stuff last night. We're going to kind of continue on that similar topic today, but yeah, talked about how protein can really increase health, and then I want to make sure we're checking in and everybody's following their 6 habits from the reset. So yeah, getting the right amount of sleep, getting some hot cold exposure, some mindset morning, some good meditation, some exercise, weightlifting or intensity, and then getting outside and moving outside in the sunlight, as well as hydration, getting your hydration in for the day. I think I hit everything. Hot and cold exposure.
Yeah, there you go.
Reagan, your water heater works way too good, apparently, because I tried turn it on, jumping right in. It was only like 30 seconds and then it was warm. It's like, oh man.
Yeah, because you're in the shower right by the water heater. So,
I see.
Too close.
It's too close. All right. I just had to turn it cold at the end.
Yeah.
But your water does get cold up in Midway.
It's a cold one. Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, let's jump in.
Okay. So today, how many of you, I kind of kicked it off with talking about sprinting, but, how many of you have ever looked at fitness goals and said, what do I want to be doing in the latter years of my life? And there's an interesting study that was published in the Journal of Sports Medicine. And what the study shows is the amount of lifetime energy expenditure that happens as we age. And there's this interesting, it's almost like a cliff. If you look at the graph, and I can share it for those of you who are watching this live right now, or for those of you who, see this on our YouTube video, for those podcast listeners, I'll try to explain it well so you can hear this, but essentially it's like our energy levels go off a cliff as we age. So by about the age of 70, we're just not pumping out the energy like we did in the earlier decades of life. And so one of the concepts I'm going to introduce today is this concept of always improving your health and having these constant benchmarks that you look at so that you can say, well, and Dan Sullivan calls this the fitness 50 at the age 100, but you say, okay, what do I want to be doing when I'm at the age 100? And one of the things that I want to do is I want to be able to run at the age of 100. So the first question I've asked myself is, okay, well, is anyone doing that? Is there anyone who's 100 that's running? And actually there's some really amazing humans that are breaking world records as centurions or super centurions. And so So in doing that, then you're actually increasing more energy, because the more energy output you have, the more energy you're generating in your body. And so one of these humans that I really admire, he's passed away now, but it's Charles Yuster. I called him the world's fitness 96-year-old. And he's someone who, is a bodybuilder, sprinter. He's a former dentist, but he didn't take up running until the age of 95. And maybe you've heard me talk about him today, but I'm going to talk about the nutritional aspect of this today, and why it's really important to get certain macronutrients in your diet so that you can be doing these things that you want to do from an activity level as you age. And so, we work with people who have massive amounts of chronic illness, mold toxicity, EMF exposure, people who have autoimmunity from, like lupus or Hashimoto's, Lyme disease. These are common things that we treat, but one of the delineating factors in our patients who do really well versus the ones who don't are the ones who keep their body moving. That movement keeps our lymphatic system healthy. So the lymphatics, in case you don't know, is a repository for waste from your blood. But the other thing that happens when we move our body is our liver starts to contract. And then as we move, this biggest organ in our body gets developed called our muscles. And so, Cade, have you ever looked at your muscles as an organ system?
I have now, because we've talked about this a few different times, and I think it's so fascinating. But typically, how I've looked at muscles in the past is just, how can I move better? It really focused on movement, and then also, strength and physique.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. But now you look at them, and we're going to talk about that more today, but your muscles are actually one of the most valuable organ systems in your body. And actually it makes up more mass than any other structure in your body. So men on average have about 42% of their body is just straight muscle. Females is about 36 to 38% of their total body. There's nothing else. Your bones don't weigh nearly that much. Your bones actually, if you strip everything out, are maybe 10 pounds. So it's not, that's not the biggest factor. The biggest factor is your muscles, and water is the heaviest thing, because, we're about 65 to 70% water. But the big thing that I want to, the goals for today is to get some insights into how you can always be building muscle, no matter where you're at in life, no matter how frustrated you are with your health. There's ways that you can build muscle. And we're going to talk about some of the key peptides that you can use, and how we're using that in our Accelerate Wellness programs, and just seeing phenomenal outcomes in every single patient that we work with. But the big thing I want you to emphasize today is, imagine that you're 100 years old right now. What do you want to be doing when you're 100 years old from a physical fitness perspective? In order for you to feel happy, like life's meaningful, and where you want to give yourself another 20, 30 years of life extension, based on the fact that you can do these activities, because these activities bring a lot of joy. And so Charles Yuster, the thing that I love about him and why he's so inspiring, is because he didn't take up sprinting until he was like 95. And we think of most 95-year-olds, and they're barely thinking they can't make it to the bathroom. And what he did is, he believed that, retirement is a dirty word. And he continually taught. He retired from his dental practice, but then continually taught, and then he got into fitness. And what he found is that, this fitness is really something that gave him a whole new lease on life. He started doing weight training when he's 87. And then, like I said, he didn't start running until he was 95. And his fitness routine, he started working out with the former Mr. Universe to put on muscle. So he put on a ton of muscle mass and lost 24 pounds before he turned 88. But Cade, do you know what was his big motivator for putting on muscle? Charles Yuster?
Yeah, it was
Okay, yeah. So what it was actually, he really wanted to impress the ladies. So it's pretty interesting, because what he noticed is, as he got older, he was doing a lot of rowing, and he used to be competitive in rowing. And he just realized, like, oh man, this rowing's not really getting me the physique that I need. I need to start lifting weights because, he says vanity is an asset to older people. So how many of you want to look great no matter what age you are? How many of you have noticed that, when you're maybe in your 20s, you didn't think that looking good was that important when you'd be in your 60s? How many of you thought that? Now you're in your 60s and you're like, well, I still really want to look good. And maybe in your 80s and you still want to look good. I remember one of my favorite patients, Rhoda. Rhoda's passed away now, but she came to see me when she was 92 to lose weight. And I remember just being like, are you sure? Why do you want to lose weight? I didn't ask her that, but in my head, I was like, are you, that's interesting. But when I got to the motivating factor, she said, look, I want to be able to move and go, and I want to shop. And I can tell the weight's just putting a lot of pressure on my joints and I don't feel as energetic. And so Rhoda, I had the great opportunity of working with her for 4 years on it. And she lost over 30 pounds and just started looking great and had better energy and just did phenomenal. So no matter what age you're at, you can look your best, you can feel your best. And it's an amazing thing that happens because, even as we age, from a mental perspective, as people mature, they want to be with people their same age. And so whether, even if you're married, this is really critical. If you have a long-term relationship, which I know many of you on here do, you want to keep things fresh for your partner and look your best and feel your best. My wife and I have an agreement with each other that, hey, we're always going to work on our health. It's a non-negotiable in our relationship for me to get overweight and let my health deteriorate and not be active. And it's a deal breaker on her side if she does that on her health. So that's something that we set, we had very clear expectations up front that we're going to do our best to keep our bodies healthy physically. And it's been a massive foundation for our marriage because now when we eat and our lifestyle is all based around healthy goals, because when I'm 80, I still want her to be, attracted to me. And I want to, I'll still be attracted to Jess. It's fun. Spencer, hey, Spencer, good to have you on. He says, I work with people in their 20s and 30s, and they believe me to their early 40s or later, always moving, 56 years. So Spencer's 56 years. And yeah, you're continually moving and you see the vanity works. Yeah, that's awesome. Appreciate that. Yeah, so this is what motivated Charles Yuster. And I'm going to, this is the critical thing. Then we're going to kind of bifurcate into, some of the ways that we can actually keep our bodies healthy no matter what age we are. But one of his big mindsets was building muscle mass. He said, building muscle mass is critical as you age. And, most of us, we start having massive muscle deterioration that begins. And actually what they found is by the age of 30, every 10 years, you're going to have a 10% loss of muscle mass. And so this is pretty darn interesting. And because if you have 10% of loss of muscle mass for every decade of your life, by the time you're 80, you're going to have 80% deterioration, and that's a condition called sarcopenia. So one of the peptides that we use, if you've noticed that you can't put on muscle mass very well, this one's passed all 3 phases of the FDA clinical trials, and it's called Sarcotropin Ipa. And Cade, I don't know if you could put like a link for Sarcotropin Ipa in there so people could look it up, or maybe just just kind of figure out on the Sarcotropin Ipa what it is. But it's a growth hormone releasing peptide, so it stimulates your body's own production of growth hormone. The other thing Sarcotropin Ipa does is it's got L-citrulline, L-leucine, L-arginine for better blood circulation, so you have that less brittleness in your blood vessels, so your muscles get more nutrients. It's got DMAE, it's got GABA, it's a nootropic, and then it's got some plum juice for the ghrelin. So, and then it's got ipamorelin is another peptide in there, but it's a really phenomenal growth hormone releasing peptide that you can take orally. Another great peptide that we use to build muscle mass is tesamorelin. And tesamorelin is a phenomenal, it's 43 chains of amino acids that has been shown to regenerate fibrosis of the liver. And in some of the research, you'll find that even patients who had 90% fibrotic livers, it was able to reverse that where to the point where they just had 10% fibrosis of the liver. In this clinical trial, they found that patients exchanged fat for muscle by about 16%. They had an increase in cognitive function as well. So if you have mild cognitive impairment in people in their 60s, is who they did the research on, they found that Tesamorelin reversed that. So there's some great ways that you can put on muscle mass that will get you there 3 times to 4 times faster than, not using some of these peptides. But it's phenomenal because, what Charles Yuster found is he said, by the age of 85, you may have lost 50% or more of your muscle mass and power. And so he found that it was extremely important for him to build this mass. And so, so hopefully that gives you some perspective, because if Charles Yuster can do it, then man, I think we can all do it. What are your thoughts on that, Cade?
For sure. Yeah, I love that. And I did post a link. This is from our website on the Peptide Advantage. So acueswas.com/the Peptide Advantage. But there's a whole section on sarcotropin in there that everybody can go and dive into. But yeah, just building muscle in general. I think that is Charles Schuster is a huge role model, just from an age standpoint, what his goals are, what he's trying to accomplish. I love that.
Yeah, it's so amazing. So let's talk about muscle real quick here. So hopefully you guys, now I've given you the why, like here's why it's so important to focus on muscle mass, is because it's going to give you an enormous sense of confidence in your future. Because the 2 biggest threats that you have as we age is we have the threats of loss of balance and loss of muscle mass. And so we're going to talk about what happens if you have loss of muscle mass, then your joints start to deteriorate. And guess what happens if our joints deteriorate? Well, that's when you can't move as well. And yes, we have regenerative medicine, and we've been able to help regrow cartilage and tendons and ligaments and help get people out of pain that way. But if you don't have the musculature to support it, then these things can start to break down again. So the number one thing that we want to be thinking about as we age is incredible muscle mass also improves brain function as well. And so now I'm going to talk about some ways that you can build muscles. So here's where we're going to talk about muscle as something that's more important than just thinking about the way you look and the way you move. But actually, muscles, not only do they protect the joints, but they optimize your immune health. And they do this because they help your body produce more glutamine. And glutamine is one of the best amino acids you can have for connective tissue. It's also really good for blood vessels and your white blood cells, and making sure that you don't have any leaky gut, leaky brain, or leaky lungs. So, and glutamine is one of those non-essential amino acids, meaning your body makes it, but glutamine is also really good for the brain. The other thing that muscles have is over 80% of your glucose receptors. And so the muscle mass is there to help stabilize the insulin sensitivity. And so, if you're somebody who, we work with a lot of patients who have diabetes or insulin resistance. And what we found is that by putting on about 15 pounds of muscle mass, we're able to reverse and shift the tides of that insulin resistance. And so that means more stability in insulin, which means you have better ability to grow muscle, because insulin is your most anabolic or your most growth promoting hormone in the body.
Super fascinating. And I think if you look at, I just love looking at how your muscles, if you're putting on muscle and building muscle, you're just overall improving your internal physiology. I've never thought of it like that. Usually it's just kind of an external, I want to look muscular and look good, but really it's such a huge piece of your overall health. And it's really cool that it helps you. It looks good too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just a win-win. I mean, it's such a phenomenal thing. And so I want to see you guys flex real quick. So let's see the pipes out there in the world. So send some pictures, your gorgeous muscles. I don't know if you guys have any types of workouts that you do that you found to be very helpful, but this is one of those areas where muscle mass is no longer, it's no longer something that we need to look at for extreme athletes or bodybuilders. Muscle mass now needs to be a part of our overall vernacular around overall health. And so when you think of your body's overall fitness, think of muscle mass. And there's a great way that you can look at how much muscle mass you've actually got, and that's through a Dexa scan. And so if you have not got a Dexa scan, reach out to us. We can help get you a referral and get you in to get a Dexa scan. But this is where you can look at your bone density, which is so critical. And we've, one of my patients, he recently got a new Dexa scan, and he found that his bone density in a year improved by about 11%. We have another one of you, I don't know if you're on here today, but her bone density went up 6.1%, and her endocrinologist was just shocked and said, I've never seen that. And so congratulations. And you know who you are. She's an accountant and just has worked really hard on her health. But part of that is some of the peptides we're using, and then, making sure that you're working on building muscle, because when you build muscle, it's the bones that when you put tension on your muscles and tendons, then the bones have to counteract that with greater calcium and phosphorus substrates to lay down to keep the tendons from ripping off the bones. So just putting a little stress on your body goes a long ways, but no longer are we going to ignore, look at the liver and the adrenals and the kidneys, but ignore the muscle mass. And so I'd encourage everybody to get a Dexa scan and do that at least twice a year, because you can also see your total body fat percentage. And it's one of the most effective ways to do it. Someday we'll have a machine so you can easily come in and do it here. Muscle makes energy. So how many of you would love to have better energy levels? Well, and if you look at this, energy makes ATP. And so every time you're contracting your muscles, you're triggering more ATP, and you're getting this myosin. And that myosin is also part of what triggers this nice immune health and activates your white blood cells. And so muscles are really important, because when they contract, you get blood that flushes into the area. And then when they relax, the blood departs. And this is one of the reasons why we love you doing hot and cold exposures. So extreme heat causes an activation of heat shock proteins, and that extreme heat allows every blood vessel in your body to relax and open up, and that's where you get sweating. And so it's a great way to detox. And then when you jump in the cold, all the blood rushes to your major organ systems. But in doing so, the blood vessels constrict, and then your blood vessels become more pliable. And the more pliable your blood vessels are, the easier it is to get nutrients to your muscles and your peripheral system. So really important, hot, cold, but also contracting those muscles, putting stress on your muscles every single day is a really critical part of your overall longevity. And this is part of the reset that we've been talking about in our Accelerate Wellness program. So muscles, how do you build muscle mass? So now we'll talk about protein for just a minute here. One of the things we've talked about is hydration. Cade, why is hydration important for muscles from your perspective?
Your muscles are made up, like a significant amount of your muscles is water. They take up a ton of water. And so if you're dehydrated, you start cramping, you don't feel good when you're dehydrated. And a lot of that's because if you think about, like, you have all these strands of muscle, or just pretend like they're threads. And if those are dry, they become brittle. They're not going to function very well. So if you keep them, if you have good moisture in there, they're more flexible, they're more dynamic. And so that's where hydration is so critical for muscle health, growth, and just function.
Yeah, so critical. So, as you look at that,
Drink up.
getting half your body weight in ounces and adding in the electrolytes. We love the pickleball juice. We just got a big old shipment in here, so it will go fast. So if you're in the clinic and you're running low on it, snag some electrolytes while you're in, but so good for you. So muscles require protein. So testosterone and growth hormone help you build muscle. It's the protein that helps you sustain it. And so this is a really critical piece of your overall healing process, is making sure you're getting enough proteins in, because I see so many patients, especially when we get, chronically sick, it's similar to what I did when I had Hashimoto's flare-ups. I started thinking, well, I need to go all vegan. And I went vegan, vegetarian for about 2 years, and it was some of the worst health of my life. I was not getting the protein, and I started to put on weight. My joints started to hurt. My hair started falling out. And I didn't realize, I was young, and I was just, read some kind of books on some extreme diets and thought this is what's going to heal me. And it actually made things so much worse. And so one of the things you want to do with any kind of chronic illness is make sure, first of all, you're getting blood labs ran, you're running your stool test, your metabolomics, so you can get some science behind it and you work with professionals. But the other thing you want to do is make sure that you're getting adequate levels of protein, and protein breakdown does require, proper enzymatic production from your pancreas. It also requires a lot of acidity in your stomach from a pH level. That's what activates the enzymes. And so there's ways that you can break down the proteins to make it much more synergistic. But if you're not sure if you're breaking these down, we'll take a look at your labs. And Cade, maybe you can provide a link so that people who are not members of our program or aren't working with us, there's easy ways that you can get a consultation set up to see how well you're actually digesting these proteins. So hydration is a big one, and then making sure you're getting protein and you've got adequate levels of hormone balance if you want to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. So let's talk about the protein. So ideally you want 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. That's pretty darn ideal. And if you think about what that looks like, well, a 5-ounce steak would have about 35 grams of protein in it, because for every single ounce of high quality meat, there's going to be about 7 grams of protein. So if you say, all right, well, how much protein do I need? Well, the minimum requirements for you not to go into a muscle wasting arena is about 30 grams per mil. That's the minimum, so that your muscles don't start atrophying and breaking down. So what that means is, ideally, if you want 1 pound for every 1 pound of body weight, you want a gram of protein. So what that means is, if you are 200 pounds, you want to be eating 200 grams of protein ideally. And if you're in a muscle building phase, then you certainly want to add more in. And so I ideally like to add in about 10 to 20% above my body weight in grams of protein is where I feel the best. So it looks like Diane asked, what digestive enzyme will help digest the protein? So this is where Zypan is one of my favorites. So it's got the all of the betaine hydrochloride is a real critical one for the pH levels and to help you break it down. And that's one of the ingredients, and it's got all 8 major enzymes, the amylase, the bromase, all of those enzymes. And then the other one is Enzymix Pro by Apex. That's an Apex Energetics. Those are 2 of my favorites, Diane. Great things. Okay, the other thing I love to add in is collagen. And one thing that's missing in collagen, it's got 8 of the essential amino acids, 8 of the 9. So in order for you to have a complete protein structure, you need to have all 9 essential amino acids. And the 9th one that's missing is tryptophan. And so this is where, whey and collagen, if you mix those together and you put a scoop of whey protein, a scoop of collagen, or, a scoop of bone broth in your coffee, I like the chocolate flavored ones. It's a really good way to have that complete chain of amino acids. Or like what I did today, I took the serotonin brain food because it's got a lot of tryptophan in it to complete that amino acid profile. You can also add in turkey. But I got my whey protein, Cade. You and I got our whey protein in the form of the Magic Spoon cereal. How is the Magic Spoon?
Love the Magic Spoon cereal. Brings me back to like Fruit Loops days. but I actually feel good after I eat it. I don't have a huge sugar rush and then a crash, and my gut doesn't hurt. The only downside is when you are a 35-year-old man that wears braces, stuff gets in your teeth and that stuff gets sticky. But other than that, it's amazing.
Magic Spoon, you can't beat it. And I'll show you guys an image of what Magic Spoon looks like in case you guys are looking for a good kind of whey protein source. It's got some whey, but it's got some casein in it too. So be careful if you have any kind of issues with dairy. But you can see here the Magic Spoon. You've got the frosted cereal, the fruity, the Magic Spoon cinnamon, you got the cocoa. We ate fruity this morning. So
yes, it is. It's great though. It's amazing for the kiddos as well. They dig it.
Yes. And we actually, we had some Ballerina Farms bacon as well. So got some fat, some protein that way. So, and then bone broth in the coffee, a little collagen. And so it's pretty amazing. And Allison's wondering where to buy Magic Spoon. That is a great question. If you just go to Magic Spoon, I think they're just their website, magicspoon.com is the only place I can see right now.
Magicspoon.com. You can get like big bulk orders on Amazon as well. I do believe their website's cheaper than Amazon though.
Okay, cool. Yes. So there's fun ways of getting in your protein. And I know Magic Spoons, yes, it's not going to be, I would not say get that for every meal, get, if it's 12 grams a serving, then you're like, man, I need 120 grams. I'm going to have 10 bowls of Magic Spoon today. It's going to be glorious. All I have to do is eat cereal. I don't think that that's the best way, but there's some entertainment, food, you want 80% of it to be nutritious, 20% entertainment. I think this is right in the gray area where you're probably getting some nutrition with the entertainment value. And so it's a fun way to get your protein. And if you're eating collagen, make sure you get the tryptophan. So that's kind of the moral of the story there. Whey protein. What are some of the benefits of whey protein? Well, whey protein, it does come from dairy, but usually it's the casein in dairy. There's two major proteins in whey that our body utilizes, and casein tends to be the one that we have more of an immune reaction to. And so, but the whey tends to be more of a complete protein. It helps support in muscle building. But whey protein has also been shown to balance blood sugar, and it improves bone density. It supports detoxification. It encourages digestive repair and builds lean muscle mass. So I look at whey protein and doing whey powder is, if you can do about maybe add an additional 30 to 40 grams of protein in the forms of powder, like whether that's bone broth or collagen, and mix that with some whey. That's a pretty ideal way to just get your protein levels a little higher. And there's actually been studies where this is one of the studies that was published out of the International Journal of Obesity. And they showed that protein shakes can safely produce significant and sustainable weight loss while reducing disease risks. While a related study found that women who took in whey protein lost twice as much visceral, or that organ fat that can be really dangerous. That's kind of the belly fat. So the women who took whey protein lost twice as much as the women who did not consume whey protein. So there's some real massive benefits there. Another study in 2014 out of Tel Aviv, published in the Journal of Diabetologica, found that whey protein taken by type 2 diabetics 30 minutes before meals worked as well or better than diabetic drugs did at improving body's insulin response and reducing blood sugar spikes after meals. So think about that. If you're trying to avoid the overeating or avoiding the after dinner craving for sweets, well, what you can do is just take a scoop of whey protein, put it in some water, stir it up, drink it down, and that's a great way. One great way to get whey. But one of the things that my wife has done is she's looked at, made these like kind of overnight oat bars with lots of whey protein in it, and that's been amazing. But yeah, there's great ways that you can get your whey protein in without having issues. So I would really encourage you guys. How many of you have ever created some recipes with whey protein? Because I'm finding that there's, my wife and I have been getting super creative. I give her all the credit because I'm just the creative taste testing subject, that I get to try her amazing protein treats. And I said, these are good, these are not good, it's too dry. But how many of you have some good recipes? Yeah, maybe you could share them, but here's another interesting study. This was published in the Journal of Clinical Lipidology. And what they found is that if you have elevated levels of LDL cholesterol, now this is really important because LDL cholesterol can show that you've got chronic inflammation in your body, and especially if triglycerides are up, that can be a sign of fatty liver disease. But what I've always thought conventionally is that high LDL cholesterol means heart disease. But really what we're finding is that at a root of that is an L-tryptophan deficiency. And so one of the reasons why getting whey protein is really good is because it can replenish L-tryptophan. And the other positive thing about this is whey protein can also help with the creation of glutathione. And so glutathione is your body's master antioxidant. So if you have high levels of homocysteine, adding in the whey protein can help your body lower the homocysteine because of the glutathione production. Glutathione can help you flush out heavy metals. It's good for your central nervous system. It increases strength and endurance. And whey protein is also a great source of L-glutamine, which is really a powerful amino acid to help heal leaky gut. So there's so many benefits for having some great proteins in your body. And so how many of you now are ready to go and get that protein shake? And especially if you have blood sugar issues, try that. The studies are pretty conclusive when it comes to what whey protein can do for you. But just in general, just to give you a recap, protein is going to protect your skeletal muscle. Remember, your skeletal muscle is an organ, and it's the largest. It takes up the most mass in your body. The largest organ is your skin, but the most mass is your muscles. And so this is your key to recharging your energy, creating better insulin sensitivity. That means you're going to get energy into the cells, build more muscle. Healthy protein consumption, it has been shown to improve kidney filtration and bone health. So prior to contrary belief, there's a lot of patients who come in who have kidney failure or kidney disease, and their nephrologist is really concerned because they're saying, well, you're eating way too much protein. We need to get you on a much lower dose. But actually, that was a study published in the 80s, and it's been refuted time and time again in multiple studies. Because what we actually find is your kidneys need the protein, that misfolding of the protein. If your proteins are adequately digested, the first thing you need to work on is the digestive system so you can break down the proteins efficiently. And then the kidneys need those proteins to actually replenish themselves, and they assist in kidney filtration. They also assist in bone health. So make sure you get a second opinion if you do have kidney disease. We've seen patients who we put them on ARA 290, which is a great peptide to help replenish the kidneys. We put them on BPC 157, Thymosin Beta-4. We've done regenerative medicine treatments, and we see their kidney function turn around, and it's been phenomenal. So make sure that's it's not a fear. That's a myth that's out there. Diane, good question. And looking at whey protein, how much sugar would be the limit on it to buy a good one? Okay, heading to Costco. So yeah, there's the Orgain whey protein. Ideally, you shouldn't have any sugar in it. If it's got sugar, our goal is less than 1 gram of sugar is too much. So don't get any. There shouldn't be any sugar in it, Diane. Oh, and Allison, do you sell the serotonin supplement you take at the clinic? Yes. So the serotonin is from Natural Stacks. You can get it at a clinic. You can go to naturalstacks.com. But the serotonin food is what it's called, and it's amazing. Because remember, serotonin is like your leadership molecule. So you guys are all leaders in your own health journey. You're the CEO. You're in charge of your health. A lot of you put us in control of the process, so we can tell you, what pitfalls, what dangers are there, and how you can, have some shortcuts to greater levels of health with some of the treatments that we provide. But really, you being the CEO of your health, that means, get those things that really work for you. And serotonin having adequate levels is one of the best things you can do for overall health. And so the final way that you want to build muscle mass is, yes, you need the nutrients. That's the number one thing. Have the digestive system to handle it, then get the nutrients in. But exercising, on average, you'll read in most of these popular magazines, it's like you need 150 minutes a week of exercise. And that's about 30 minutes, 5 days out of the week. And I'm here to tell you, it's not enough. Maybe if you're in your 30s, it's enough because you already have adequate levels of growth hormone. The universe is not trying to recycle you. Remember, death does not want to work hard. And so you want to fight back, and you fight back by exercise and by putting in the right nutrients. And so our goal is we have the 30-30 exercise program, and that gets you to about 420 minutes per week. And that's optimal for maintaining proper skeletal muscle and longevity. So make sure that you're watching out for that. Okay, so hopefully that answers things. It looks like we've got another question on the kidney failure. And so one of the things that you want to look at is with these protein myths. One of the studies that you can find at eurekaalert.org, if you just plug in Journal of Nutrition, you'll find the meta-analysis that was published in the 80s. They found that processing large amounts of protein leads to progressive decline in kidney function. But actually, then you examine 28 other papers from 1975 to 2016. And what they found is that it's actually the opposite. And so it's pretty interesting. It's just like, and unfortunately, we've been told to go on a low-fat diet, low salt, and we've seen what happens there. And now we're being told low protein, and it's like, well, okay, well, the biggest thing we need low of is sugar. That's pretty darn irrefutable. Maybe 25 grams of fructose a day from like eating an apple, a couple apples it's going to get you to that level. Eating a handful of blueberries, that's going to be great for you. But anything more than that could be inflammatory. But what the research shows that a high protein diet that included 1.5 grams of protein per kilogram of body weight per day, or at least 20% of caloric intake coming from protein, or at least 100 grams of protein per day, is the minimum for these patients, over 1,300 participants who were healthy or obese or had type 2 diabetes, but had chronic kidney disease. They found that when they consumed a high or moderate protein diet, they actually had greater levels of health, and they had a better probability of reversal of kidney disease. So think about some of these protein myths that are out there, because it might not be the best to follow the common knowledge, as many of you know.
Yeah, that's really intriguing, Reagan. Why is it that's like the common thing is reduce protein if you have kidney issues?
Well, I think this is it's just what I was mentioning before. It's that study in 1980. It's where we, as in conventional medicine, they study. Unfortunately, doctors in medical school don't have a lot of training on nutrition. And then even the nutritionists, the dietitians, they get trained on,
the same
thing.
thread.
Yeah, this is where sodium's just been, let's get rid of sodium, and that's the cause of hypertension. But really, it's like, no, it's insulin resistance that's the cause of hypertension, and aldosterone. But, I won't go on that thread, but it's just when there's a singular study and it's adopted by an authoritarian, kind of like Harvard Medical School or the American Medical Association, and then it comes downstream, it's no different than what we've seen with the FDA or the CDC with, certain constraints and lockdowns
Oh, yeah.
that happened during COVID. It's like, well, because there's an authoritarian up here, then if you're not following law, if you're not aligned with what the mainstream is telling you, then you're wrong. But it's actually, there's just, science is always, it's up for debate. And so especially in protein, we've just seen that one is one of those myths that needs to go away soon.
Yeah. I think on your vein of talking about the sugars added and things like that, with fruits, one thing that I've been blown away with is when you do like the fruit juices, even if it's pure fruit juice, the sugar contents in that juice, and then your body's inability to use starches and like something of substance, you're just skyrocketing your blood sugar levels. That's one thing I've seen, because especially like kids, my kids especially, they love like juice. And so if you can find things that don't have the sugar, using like the flavored electrolytes has been a game changer. The pickleball juice tastes like Tang. I remember Tang, and that stuff was like 30 grams of sugar a serving, and now you can get the same flavor and it's actually good for you, and you don't risk a diabetic coma in the future.
Yeah. Well, and the other thing is, you have those types of ways of getting the sweet in, but then for those of you who crave sugar and sweets, semaglutide has been just a massive breakthrough. That peptide will completely turn off your cravings. And so if you've not tried that one and you have, insulin resistance or any kind of weight loss goals, we're just seeing amazing things from semaglutide as well. So there's some great things you can do, but at the core, make sure you're focusing on your overall health. I know, that we have a lot of brand new people on here today. I want to, congratulate you for finding us. I don't know how you did, but our community is growing every single day. And so if you have not had a chance to get some of your testing ran, get that appointment, take some action on your health that can save your life. Death by neglect, I'm going to give that terminology. That was Diane Trout. Congratulations. I appreciate you giving me that, just sharing that with us at one of our health accelerator sessions. But death by neglect is also happens when we just bury our head in the sand, when we don't get our labs ran, or it's that ignorance, and the ignorance creates insecurity and isolation. But I can tell you, there's a whole world out there that once you start digging in and looking at what's going on in your body, and doing that every 3 to 6 months is critical, but it can literally change your life. One of our members today who's on here, and I didn't get permission to share the story, so I won't share her name, but she had a cardiologist visit, and the cardiologist just gave her a gold star for the improvements that she's made in hemoglobin A1C, and congratulations, you know who you are. She's lost 30 pounds since I think November, and she's just doing awesome. So congrats to all of you who are doing so much work on your health. Really appreciate you guys, and appreciate our great community.
Awesome. Well, amazing content as usual, Reagan. Love it. You guys, thank you for joining us this week. You're an amazing audience, and we love you so much and appreciate you. Those of you that are new to this community and maybe haven't had an opportunity, I have posted a link. You can also go to AccuEastWest.com, look up our telephone number there, or there's a new patient section where you can actually go in and just schedule an evaluation and consultation and see if there's some things we can do to help you out on your health journey. So thank you guys so much. We'll be back same time, same place next week. Have a great one.